Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into my channel. So this is the first time I've ever going live from my computer, and I usually don't go live. I always pre-record because my computer camera sucks. It's always grainy, so I usually never go live from my camera on my computer, and you can't go live from my phone because you got to have 1,000 subscribers in YouTube to go live from your phone. So yeah, I'm gonna attempt to do this tonight, but I probably won't be doing live from my camera on my computer again, like I said, because it sucks. So before I get started, I want to thank all the people who subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to sit and listen to me talk. And for some reason, every time I start to talk, I start to have get like mucusy or whatever in my throat. So if I have to clear my throat a couple of times, I apologize. But I want to talk to you guys tonight about an article I came across. So I was in my car the other day before going to work, and I was listening to this podcast called UFO Warning on iHeartRadio. And he was the gentleman on there, and I can't remember his name, and I do apologize for that. But he was talking about an article he came across on brobible. I'm sorry, brobible.com. And I put a link in the description below where you guys can go to the website and read the article yourself. And it's a really interesting article involving a doctor that works at Stanford Lab at university. But I'm going to read it for you. At least I'm going to read some of it for you. So the article starts off. So the title of the article is UFO debris from various alleged crash sites is being studied in a lab, in a Stanford lab. This was published by Douglas Charles on September 10th, 2021. And it says he's a professor of microbiology and pathology at Stanford University. Is currently investigating analyzing alleged UFO artifacts. The professor says he got into studying UFOs when he was approached by people representing the government and aerospace corporation. Okay. So it says debris from several UFO cases dating back to 1947 is now being studied by Dr. Gary Nolan at the Nolan Lab at Stanford University. And yes, the lab is named after him. And in a recent interview with KQED, Nolan discussed how he got involved in UFO studies and what he's currently working on with his research. Nolan says he first got involved working on UFOs when he was approached by some people representing the government and an aerospace corporation to help them understand the medical harm that had come to some individuals related to supposed interactions with anomalous craft. And I wonder which aerospace corporation that he's talking about. You know, the first thing that comes to my mind is Bigelow Aerospace, because I know Robert Bigelow is really deeply interested in UFOs and alien abductions and contacts like that. So I could see his company being interested in coming to him about studying this. Let me see. And then it goes on to say, I wonder if let's skip that. So currently Nolan is working on alleged artifacts from UFOs, including some from a case previously worked on by famous UFO researcher Jacques Vallée. You can think of it as almost like investigative forensics. Nolan explains somebody claims something happened or didn't happen, and so you use whatever psychological or scientific means to investigate and document the case. And in the case of some of these materials, they are almost all metals that are claimed to have either been dropped by the UAPs or somehow left behind. In the case of Trinity, which I've read that book, by the way, I know I've mentioned it to you guys, the book Trinity by Jacques Vallée and Paula Harris to read. Now, I highly suggest you guys read it. If you haven't read it, it's a really good book. So in the case of Trinity, two boys got into what they claimed is a craft and took a piece of it, and they kept it since 1945. And also in the book, it does show a piece of the metal that the boys said they took from the craft. I come to it with no preconceptions. I come to it with, well, here's how you do the analysis. Am I the best person to do the analysis? No. Absent an actual metallurgist stepping in, I'm willing to do the groundwork to get preliminary results that might interest a sufficiently expert metallurgist to go the next step. Nolan is or has also been working on UFO debris from Colombia and Argentina, as well as alleged 1945 UFO crash in Mexico. And the 1945 crash UFO in Mexico, they're talking about, and this is the one in the Trinity book. Let's see. The things that interest me the most are the cases where there are claimed changes in the isotope ratios of given elements, said Nolan. The point I've always made is we don't know why you would do that in the first place because it's expensive. And so if somebody is engineering isotope ratios for a practical purpose, I'd like to understand why, because that would be evidence of an understanding of material science that we don't currently possess. Despite the usual giggles from some of his colleagues regarding his UFO studies, Nolan says, I think the crux of the whole issue is here. We are afraid of talking about that. And that is so true. We are afraid of talking about UFOs and alien abductions. It's just people have considered it taboo for so long. And that's just really sad because we know something is coming here and encountering our planet and interacting with citizens. They're doing it in secret, but nevertheless, they're coming here. And they've been coming here, at least documented cases since the 40s, but they've probably been coming here before then. But people don't want to talk about it. At least the mainstream media didn't want to talk about it. And it's definitely not the politicians and the government don't want to talk about it. It's interesting to that study that suddenly in the last year, this has come to national attention. We train these pilots for tens of millions of dollars and we entrust them with multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment. And now people are coming to me who kind of viewed it in the past and they are saying, Gary, it looks like you might have been right. I'm really interested in this. Can you tell me more? It's a little bit more open now, and that's a good thing. And if it is disproven ultimately, I'm perfectly fine with that. Nolan also added that he isn't alone. There are dozens of scientists currently working on various UFO cases. They aren't as public with it as he is. Scientific news reports that Nolan has studied some of his alleged UFO debris using a machine that enables scientists to look at the atomic structure of a selected material. The process called multiplex ion beam imaging, MIBI, revealed that the composition of the debris was unlike any currently known metal. If you're talking about an advanced material from an advanced civilization, you're talking about something that I'll just call an ultra material, said Nolan. It's something which has properties where somebody is putting it together, and again, at the atomic scale, we're building our world with 80 elements. Someone else is building the world with 253 different isotopes. And that's about it. That's an incredible article. I mean, why... I haven't heard researchers, at least the UFO researchers that I follow, haven't caught on to this article or talked more about it. That's surprising, but definitely this article should be talked about. Someone should be really reaching out to Dr. Gary. I actually wrote an email to Dr. Gary Nolan. I think this was on Saturday night, maybe it's Sunday, whatever day I read this article. It was Saturday or Sunday. I haven't heard anything back. More than likely, he's not going to probably email me back. But I did attempt to communicate with him. If I do hear back from him, I will let you guys know. But yeah, this is incredible. So yeah, I would hope that someone picks up this article and talks more about at least mainstream media. I haven't heard Linda Moon Howe or Richard Dolan or George Knapp or Jeremy Corbell or any of these people pick up and talk about this article. So I hope maybe me talking about it on YouTube will get them to talk about it, or they'll see it. Probably not, but you never know. And like I said, maybe if I hear back from him, I will let you guys know. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, I started watching American Horror Story, season 6. I don't know if you guys watch it, but season 6 has been pretty good. It's like a crossover. So I think on the 6th episode, that's when they start. I believe it's the 5th or the 6th episode. That's when they start talking about alien abductions, and it starts off with the first episode. And I'm not going to give too much away because for those of you who haven't watched it, so I don't want to spoil it for you. I'm only going to tell you a little bit, then that's going to be it. But it starts off with Eisenhower, and you know how it's been rumored that Eisenhower signed a treaty with gray aliens back in the 50s to allow them to take humans, to abduct them, and then they will give us some of their material, their technology. That's what the first episode starts off with. And it also has JFK and his assassination, and Marilyn Monroe and her assassination, or her being murdered and stuff, and it ties all that in there. But yeah, it's really good so far. It do jumps back between the 50s and present day, so you may have to go back and watch it a couple of times. I didn't, but it's really good so far. So I suggest if you guys haven't watched American Horror Story, check it out. So yeah. Anything else I wanted to mention? Yes, I finished reading my book, Pharaohs, Pukas, and Changelings. And when I was reading this book, it made me think of David Paulides' books, Missing 411. I don't know if you guys read his books or not, or follow him on YouTube, but I've had a couple of his books. And it's some of the strangest cases of people disappearing in national forests and other places, and just disappearing off the face of the earth, like none of their stuff was found, not their hiking gear, not their equipment. And in some of the cases, the people were found in areas that were already previously searched. And in some of the cases, people were who went missing, dogs can't track their scents. It's like these people just vanished. There was one case he was talking about, I think this was Sunday. I was following him on YouTube, and he talked about this one case where this guy went out with his snowmobile and he didn't come back, I think the next day or maybe the same day. So his family reported him missing. They went out to look for him and they found his snowmobile, and it was deep off in some snow, and there was no tracks leading away from the snowmobile. There was nothing. No dogs could track his scent. There was no footprints. Even the fire chief said that it looked like this guy must have been abducted by aliens, because there was nothing. They never found anything of this guy's stuff. Not his gear, not his boots, not his backpack. Absolutely nothing. The guy just vanished out in the middle of nowhere. And it's a lot of stories in David Paulides' books. So I suggest, if you haven't read his books, you definitely read them. And the reason I say this book made me think of his books, because it talks about changelings in there and how fairies will swap out a human baby, because they love beautiful human babies, for like something from their world, like an ugly wrinkled old creature that's the size of a baby, and it has like beady eyes. And the mom comes looking at cradle and she finds this hideous creature in a crib and her baby's gone. But it also talk about how fairies or changelings will sometimes take adults, and not often, but in rare occasions, if an adult is out in the woods or wherever and they go missing, that could be the case of a fairy bringing them off into their realm or whatever, and then they just disappear and stay there forever because they can't get back. But I'm not saying that's what happens in his books, Missing 401 books. I just really don't know. People think they have the answer, but after you read his books, you really can't say what's happening to these people. It's just, some of the cases are just the strangest, saddest cases. And you feel for the family because they don't have any closure. It's just so sad. But yeah, if you haven't read his books, read them. Check out his YouTube channel. He also has 2 movies that I think you can watch for free on Amazon. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys tonight. If you guys have any thoughts on this article, and if you guys read about it and heard about this article, let me know, because I did not know anything about this article. This is an incredible article by Dr. Gary Nolan. And I'm surprised he came out and talked about this, especially after being approached by the government, or representatives of the government, and an aerospace corporation. But I would really like to know whatever aerospace corporation you think it is. I know, I think it's Robert. I think it could be Robert Bigelow, but I'm not sure. But it also could be Lockheed Martin. So I don't know. I think that's all I got for you guys tonight. So it wasn't so bad, I guess, going live, but my camera's not the best. I'm probably going to go back to my phone once I can figure out why it keeps hanging up and stop recording in the middle of a video. But anyway, that's it. Until next time, bye. And thanks for tuning in.